was your advisory about?
Now, you know, there are a number of factors that come into play. And normally what tends to happen is that we will give an advisory, what you call the research notes,
right,
which comes out before the actual Monetary Policy Committee meeting.
Right.
Now, the Monetary Policy Committee normally has got more information, more latest data as they make their decision than we do.
Right.
So what then happens immediately after the Monetary Policy Committee, they will normally disclose the additional information they have,
right,
and on the basis of which they made the decision.
Yes.
So what we then do, we also now give a commentary based on the additional information that the Monetary Policy Committee has given.
Right.
So back to your question, our recommendation or our proposal at that point in time was the fact that it should be retained at what it was, partly because of the fact that it had just been increased in the previous decision,
right,
and the effects were still yet to be felt in the market.
Right.
So we felt that the decision was still filtering through, and therefore they should be given some more time in order to percolate, so to speak.
Right.
But the additional information MPC had was the fact that, one, there was pressure
right,
on the shilling in terms of the exchange rate, see, and that needed to be stabilized. But also, the additional information they had was the fact that all the indicators of inflation had actually shown an upward surge.
Right.
Starting with the core inflation, it was actually rising. Food inflation was actually rising, and the fuel inflation was therefore rising.
Yes.
And the combined, which is the headline inflation, was actually, of course, increasing.
Right.
Now, with that information about the inflation, from what we had, it was therefore justified in the decision of increasing it.
Right.
But I think the critical thing here, which we need to be alert to,
right,
is the fact that inflation is the main enemy, which we have got to attack head-on.
Right.
Trying to achieve growth by supporting economic growth on an inflationary environment is like building a house in quicksand.
Right.
That house will come down.
Right.
So what you need to do, first of all, is to ensure that the base, the foundation,
right,
is strong enough. And that, what you therefore do, is ensure that you bring this inflation down to a stable, low level.
Right.
On the basis of that now, you can achieve growth. Right. On a stable environment, whereby it's like building a house on a stable foundation,
right,
which will be now a stronger house than having one on quicksand.
Right.
So, in short, it's much easier to achieve stable growth that
right,
is sustainable if you have got a low inflation environment.
Right. Of course, Dr. Habil, when you were giving this particular advisory, you had, you had advised the Monetary Policy Committee to keep the base rate as it was. And just for context, inflation is now at 6.9. Of course, this is so much better than where we were. We were almost hitting double digits around mid-year last year. And that would have, had a very huge effect, especially on the economy. When you were giving this advisory to the CBK, you did, of course, do your math. Do you say now that maybe, you've changed your minds?
No, it was a movement from the previous to the current.
Right.
The previous one was the October, which had been used in the last decision, which was in December.
Right.
You see, now we were talking about the current movement in terms of inflation.
Right.
So that's the closing numbers that were now being used for February. And that's why there was a surge.
Right.
You see, that surge between October and December is what influenced the decision of central bank.
Right.
Then increase the central bank rate.
Right. Dr.